Welcome to the Scientific Investor channel, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. Today I have analyzed and prepared some charts for you guys, which will actually show you about where we are now, what type of support and resistance is being presented by the price fluctuation itself, what kind of patterns and trend we can see, and with the use of indicators, how we can interpret that. Which points have to be noted? If we look at the same thing in past, can we see something similar? If we do see that, then what can we expect? If we look closer, what can we find? What is the price actually showing you based on these price fluctuation and the time series data? If we put that in one way or the other, if you are getting most similar results, then that indicates you that there is something behind it, right? But before that, we'll actually go through some news updates and a perspective which actually shows you guys about the future of Ripple. You know, those icons with runs on Ripple, it'll be everywhere. Wherever you go, you'll have this. If you have a credit card, debit card, or what else, it will be there in the future. But even before jumping into that, I would like to read a couple of lines for you guys. Now, this is yes about stock market, and most of them will actually say stock market doesn't have any relation with the crypto markets, but I would just like to say it's both human beings who use their own money to trade to get more money. So the psychology behind this stuff is actually same. Just the population, the percentage of population who does this is a bit less. Okay, now this actually this paper presents evidence that the relation does not hold up anymore during the more recent stock market boom since the early 1980s, indicating that the stock market return ceased to lead real economic activity. Now, yes, it is true, but what you actually have to understand is the opposite is also true. A possible explanation for our result is the existence of bubbles or fads which make movements of stock prices more independent from subsequent changes in real activity. Now, yes, they are actually pointing towards price going higher in the stock market, but the real economy doesn't reflecting that. And at the same time, they also highlight this: the existence of bubbles make price movements independent from the real-time activity. But when it consolidates, now yes, that's my perspective, when it consolidates away from this bubble and price come back to the reality or even below that, then slowly it will pick up and go towards the fundamental. Because when you see this, you also have to understand that the opposite is also true. When the fundamental is going so high and the price is moving to the downside, then you should actually understand when the price was going lower here and being consolidated at this particular area. Now, yes, this is all coin market cap, not directly XRP one, but what I would like to highlight in this one too is we have a similar relation, right? The altcoin market cap, whenever it goes up, XRP goes up, or whenever XRP goes up, it reflects there. So when we actually going down, what you actually have to consider is, does the fundamentals of XRP correlate with this? No, right? The fundamental is actually going up from all the time. Thus, it will take time to reflect in price because the psychology is currently so low. No one is actually looking at this, but there are things happening not in the background. Now it's coming out. You know, even if we close the light or truth inside any dark thing, it will come out one day. It will come out, rise like a star. So that's in that perspective. Now, this one is actually from XRP 2020, showing that, remember this, when you continue to see XRP falling lower and lower, they want you out before they roll it out. Now, yes, you know, we actually recently heard news about, you know, Ripple, the company, contacting Alex Cobb and asking him to take out some of this content which he put out based on the B.O.A announcement. So they were actually planning an actual campaign around that actual announcement. So, you know, that's kind of a confirmed source in that one. And you also have to connect the dots. If it is Bank of America in that partnership, then you also have to think about the Federal Reserve who's coming up with this Fed Now payment system, because it shows you much more. Because when you just jump into the partners of Ripple, you have to actually understand they are top banks in the world. So even if there is one or two top banks in one country, that they can actually connect between others and then do the transfer, right? So it's what is important. Now there's the next one showing from XRP Joker. Jerome Powell and Secretary Mnuchin discuss plan of action. Now central bankers and finance chiefs from G7, including Federal Reserve, is actually looking at strategic implementation based on the virus, and what's going around. The stock market is going down, they need more liquidity, and they are looking at appropriate policy tools. Now in yesterday's video we actually discussed about that they were actually looking at any type of technology which can support the growth and be inside the regulatory framework. So they're actually looking at that. Now there's the next one from XRP Alliance, and it is showing you a couple of information which is really valid. Now what you have to understand is when we talk about protocol, they are also talking about standards and protocol. If you go to the reports which I presented in previous videos, say the report from Bank of England, they were actually talking about a new financial system which is based on standards and protocols. Now you can actually see this here. And they are also talking that the Ripple network is an all-in-one remittance network and currency exchange. So they are going to do that in real time. Now the protocol is called a real-time gross settlement, which is the RTGS, which act as a DLT between network of nodes. Now financial institution using a Ripple include Earthport, FIDA, Bank of England, Bank of America, and HSBC. Now in 2018, Ripple embraced as the best after Bitcoin. Say XRP ecosystem needs a node validating database. Now those are additional data which you actually get, but when you actually go through this, what you have to understand is, as we discussed previously, IMF, World Bank, the top central bankers, regulators, everyone is actually working with Ripple, the company, to come up with something new. But we in the XRP community been researching this all over last 2-3 years when the price was going down. So for us, this is not new. We have some kind of understanding as we read between the lines, right? Now there's the next one from XRP Alliance, and as we showed, this is a sample of the customers, and it's connecting from India to America, from Japan to South Korea. Everyone is there. And this one which he's highlighting is Bank of America, and it is showing you at the bottom that XRP ledger. So this is coming quickly. It's not going to take much time to reach this point at which even all the giant financial institutions, payment providers like Western Union, PayPal will be coming in and running on Ripple, because they have to lower their cost, right? If they can do that, then automatically they'll get more and more customers. They can increase their profits. If you guys recognize value from this video, please do like, subscribe, and press the bell notification icon. This is the first chart from which we'll start. Say this is the XRP 60-minute chart, and it is actually showing you that we have had an overhead resistance. We broke above that. Now we are coming back, retesting that area. At the same time, we can see that considering this high and this high in the RSI, we are getting divergence pointing you to the upside. So that is actually a good deal. Now if you zoom a bit out, this was the area which we were actually concentrating here in this one. But if we zoom a bit out and look at the overall picture, we also have to understand that the price is within this resistance and support trading zone. So we can consider this as a channel in which we are being traveling like this bounce here. But at present, even though we made above this resistance line of the shorter time frame, we are still below this overhead resistance. So unless we move above this, you have to be a bit cautious. Now once we move above that, that gives you an indication that it's kind of starting. Now this is the altcoin market cap, and this is 2-hour chart. In this one you can actually understand, if you zoom in, focus, the points which we connected here is kind of the support of a new uptrend which we are expecting to continue. This is also a broadening wedge showing you a reversal pattern. Now this line which I have plotted here is the previous resistance of altcoin cycle. Now the price has actually managed to get above this one, it is kind of retesting that area, kind of flirting with that zone. Now once that is confirmed, you can see this resistance line. Once that is confirmed, and if we get a bounce from that point, then we will be moving towards the next resistance level here, which will be, this will be acting as an overhead resistance. Yeah, this area will be a minute resistance, whereas this one will be the trend line resistance in that aspect. Now this one is way back. Now we are looking at the 2015, 16, 17 area, in which you can see a pattern forming here, right? We actually went above this, then we came back, retested that area, flirted there for a long time, then again capitulated a bit, giving a wrong indication that we are going to go down, kicking in more sellers and then trapping them and moving to the upside. So if you actually zoom out and compare both of these, you have a similar pattern here, right? It's not only this pennant forming here, but also the pattern emerging. Now I've actually taken the bars from here and plotted it here in the blue. So if you actually compare the pattern, you can see this here, right? This bottom here, then this move up here. Now yes, the time taken for this is comparatively low, so I haven't actually scaled it or manipulated it to fit this scenario here, but I'm showing you guys that the pattern emerging there was actually more or less similar. Now if you actually focus here, you can actually see these points like the resistance and support area, now which we are getting the similar resistance and support area here. And the difference here is we actually went up, we came down. Now here we can see this rounded bottom moving to the upside, giving that exponential growth there, whereas here we are still here, right? At this point we are expecting this to continue like this. So if we get that price movement to the upside, then we should be bouncing much higher, because this particular area, this is a daily chart of altcoin market cap, and you can see this particular area was a strong resistance previously, and now we are bouncing from that area. Now in a daily chart, when you get a bounce like this, it more or less confirms that the trend is changing. Now you can see an engulfing pattern, engulfing candle, which shows you that the trend is changing. So most of the time, those who understand that the trend has changed, make the most out of it. Now we'll analyze these two frames. Say in this one, time fluctuation and the percentage are same, but the pattern which it made before the reversal looks similar. If you want to look at this, like these curved patterns, and this one, it's not perfect Adam and Eve, it's kind of opposite and it's a bit weird, but still you get this pattern here, and I hope you get the point what I'm trying to illustrate here. You get the similar point here. Now yes, the time taken for that here was 170 days, and here it's 296 days, but you also have to consider that consolidation or the trend before that took around 1126 days here, whereas here it took the first, from the first peak it only took around 496 if you consider the peak to that point. Now the peak to that point here is so big here, but you also have to consider that this is the first peak of that cycle, then the second one, as we discussed in the previous video, so I'm not jumping much into that. But if you recognize this total area, say the 1300 days around, you have something similar. Say we are right now here for 1000 days here, and if you put that extra 300 days, we'll be talking about 2021, or at least by the end of 2020, right? So when we focus on that, you also have to understand the first peak here was the peak of the entire cycle, and that's not the same case here. So there can be a bit of fluctuation from the trend, but the pattern is actually looking similar even if you move into a different perspective, removing that particular patterns in the trend and look at the overall trend. For example, we are having resistance in this area, and once we broke above that, we turned that into support. Now this support turn resistance is still playing out here. Now what we have to see is whether this fluctuation and the time taken for that will be same, because if you look at the entire frame here, the time taken for this pattern to be completed is more than this. So will the fluctuation be even more than this? Because the number of partners which we had, Ripple the company had for potential use of XRP was really low during 2017, early 2017, but compared to that, we have a lot more now in a practical use case. But as we just discussed in this paper, the fundamentals are actually going into the sky, but the price is not reflecting that. But often that happens, and once the price starts consolidating and slowly moving to the upside, like we are having here, if this is a confirmed trend, say if we move a bit up and come back down, retest and blow up, this area is more or less confirmed. Now yes, this is a longer time frame chart, but for shorter time frame, the trade is much more simple. It looks like it is reversing, or it has already reversed. Guys, that's all for today. And if you guys like the content I provided today, do hit that subscribe button and like button. I'll meet you guys on the next one. Bye for now.